Good evening, everyone. We'll call the Ottawa City Commission meeting to order. This is Wednesday, May 6th at 7 p.m. So first we'll start off with a call to the order. Roll call, I'm sorry.
Mayor Skidmore,
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Reed,
Present.
Commissioner Geis.
Present.
We're all here and accounted for, so welcome everyone here in the gallery, also listening on KOFO and watching on our Government Access channel. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then followed by the invocation by Finance Director Scott Bird.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the book of Proverbs, we read the Lord's words, "But whoever listens to me will dwell safely and will be secure without fear of evil." Let's pray. Father God, may we truly listen to you for what is best for this community, for this state, and for this country. May we choose wisdom as you define it, that we might be secure without fear of evil. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, we got a full agenda, so we'll get right started with this. Item number 6 and 7. Carolyn, you want to start us off?
Item 6 is minutes from the April 15th, 2015 special call meeting for time change, and April 6th, 2015, April 13th, 2015, and April 20th, 2015 study sessions. Item 7 is the reappointments to the city boards and commissions.
Okay, the following board or commission members have agreed to be reappointed to another term on their respective board or commission. That's Jason Maxwell, the Construction Board of Appeals, and Jack Maxwell on the Planning Commission.
The consent agenda approval.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, madam.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
The motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any other discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 9. Are there public comments?
No, sir.
No comments, so we won't need to read that. Go on number 10, a declaration. This time I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Everybody good? Okay, thanks. Go on to number 11.
Proclamation recognizing May 16th, 2015 as National Kids to Parks Day.
On May 16, 2014 is National Kids to Parks Day and also Ottawa Annual Play Day. I'm assuming that should be 2015, right?
Yes.
Proclamation will be accepted by Fonda Rose, but first we'll have it read by, okay, Mr. Dickinson, go ahead.
The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas May 16th, 2015 is the 4th National Kids to Parks Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, and whereas May 16th, 2015 is Ottawa's annual play day for 2015. And whereas outdoor play in our parks empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit America's parks as well as our local parks. And whereas it is important to introduce a new generation to our nation's parks because of the decline in park attendance over the last decades. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. And whereas National Kids to Park Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors. And whereas National Kids to Park Day and Play Day is open to all children and adults in Ottawa to encourage a large and diverse group of participants. And now therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby proclaim to participate in National Kids to Parks Day and urges the citizens of Ottawa to make time May 16, 2015 to take children in their lives to play day at City Park or another neighborhood, state, or national park. Signed the 6th day of May, 2015 by the mayor.
And Fonda, I guess you want to come forward and accept this. Oops. We're good. A few minutes at the podium if you like.
First, I'd like to say thank you to all of you for your support for Play Task Force. We wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we do without your support. So, like we said with the proclamation, Play Day is May 16th. This year we're having it at Kansas Park. It's going to be from 10 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. We're going to have a healthy snack and just kind of some come and go play activities for the kids. We've got a little bounce house slide that we've got. We're doing the frisbee golf that's there in Kansas Park and the recently added soccer golf that's in Kansas Park now. And just different activities that kids can kind of come and go and play as they choose along with their families. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Vonda. Very good. Item number 12.
Proclamation recognizing May 2015 as National Bike Month and Bicycle Safety Month.
The proclamation recognizes the 59-year history of National Bike Month and will be accepted by Rick Dietz, the Active Transportation Committee. So I'll read the proclamation first, and I'm not sure who has this one.
I have that one.
All right, go ahead, Linda.
The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the bicycle is an economical, healthy, convenient, and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form for recreation and enjoyment of Ottawa's scenic beauty. And whereas through the month of May, the residents of Ottawa and its visitors will experience the joys of bicycling through educational programs, commuting events, charity events, or by simply getting out and going for a ride. And whereas Ottawa's road and trail system attracts bicyclists each year, providing economic health, transportation, tourism, and scenic benefits. And whereas creating a bicycling-friendly community has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, boost community spirit, improve traffic safety, and reduce pollution, congestion, and wear and tear on our streets and roads. And whereas Franklin County Healthy Communities Initiative, the League of American Bicyclists, schools, parks, and recreation departments, police departments, hospitals, companies, and civic groups throughout Ottawa will be promoting bicycling during the month of May. And whereas these groups are also promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operations and safety education in an effort to reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities, and improve health, safety, and comfort for all travelers. And now therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as National Bike Month, May 13th as Bike to School Day, the week of May 11th through May 15th as Bike to Work Week, and May 15th as National Bike to Work Day, and does urge all residents to participate in this special observance, signed this 6th day of May 2015 by our Mayor Mike Skidmore.
Okay.
Actually, Mayor, we have a couple other people from Active Transportation, if
please.
you don't mind them being in the picture.
Please come forward. Who else is
Tom.
involved here? Great.
Go on up there, Rick, right
Come
on up there.
here.
This is Rick Dietz, and he's on the Active Transportation Committee. Tom, go on up there a little closer so you're in the picture. Tom Yell, who's chairing or coordinating that committee, and Clayton Broyles with the school district.
Yeah, okay. We have a few minutes at the podium, or anyone else wants to speak?
Well, several of us will. I don't know if they will, but you go ahead.
They stranded me.
They did. You go ahead, and I'll cover anything you did good.
First of all, thank you very much for all your support of bicycling as a means of transportation for health and recreation, and especially want to encourage the sharing of the road to keep it safe for both bicyclists and motorists. And bicyclists, we'll do our best to always wear our helmets, high visibility clothing, and again, follow the rules of the road. And we strongly encourage all motorists to be courteous and share their road with us as well, so we can all have a safe and enjoyable experience.
Great. Thanks, Rick.
We did want to add, well, my personal challenge to all of you to ride your bike to work if you're able to, or to a meeting. This is part of your work. During the Bike to Work week, I will be riding my bike. I will say I'm a fair weather bike rider, so it's not pouring. I will ride my bike to work on May 15th, and I invite you to do it as well as the public to be sure that we're out. In addition to that, when we had our Active Transportation Committee meeting last week, Peach Model at the theater offered to do a special promotion. And so if you ride your bike to the theater on May 15th, bike to work day, but instead you bike to the theater, you can get in free for a 7 or 7:30 show. And we really want to encourage people to do that, and the Public Works Department is going to relocate some bike racks, and we may have some bike sitters, and we will do some things, but we want to make sure that that's a fun day and gets the community out at all times. So we appreciate the support.
Thank you. And Rick, you may notice out here on Hickory Street, we're starting to change our parking so as to be more biker-friendly, so that will be coming shortly. So stay tuned.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Rick, very much. Item number 13.
A proclamation recognizing May 10th through the 16th, 2015 as National Police Week.
Established in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy in a joint resolution of Congress, National Police Week pays special tribute to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And Police Chief Dennis Butler will accept this once I read this, and the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Ottawa Police Department, and whereas nearly 60,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 16,000 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including one member from the Ottawa Police Department. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., 273 new names of fallen heroes have been added to the memorial this spring, including 117 officers killed in 2014 and 156 officers killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 27th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of Wednesday, May 13, 2015. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which takes place this year, May 10 through 16, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families. And therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 10 through 16, 2015 to be Police Week, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities around the nation. Signed this 6th day of May, 2015 by myself, Mike Skidmore. So, Chief, you want to come up here?
Mayor, do you mind if I invite my officers over here?
Please. This would be great.
You
Come
want
up.
to come up and you can take
This would be great.
I didn't plan to do that, but as we got
That's
the
great.
proclamation, I thought that might be a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Next to the, come in close.
There you go.
Good.
There you go.
Good job.
Go ahead and say a few words. Be great.
Yeah, sometimes ideas come to me a little late, and we were here to introduce them a little bit later, but I thought it'd be appropriate to bring them up.
Absolutely.
In conjunction with National Police Week on Wednesday, May 13th next week, we are having a local memorial service at First Baptist Church that starts at 6 o'clock. Usually the service lasts anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, and afterwards this year, some light refreshments are being served by spouses of Sheriff's Office employees. This service is jointly hosted by the Police Department and the Sheriff's Office, and it is to honor the memory of one officer from each department that has died during their service in law enforcement in the history of our agencies. The memorial service also is, like you read in the proclamation, designed to memorialize the names and memories of over 20,000 law enforcement officers that have been killed in the line of duty during the history of our country. One thing I wanted to point out, you mentioned in the proclamation that there were 117 officers killed last year and 156 new names. There's always constant research going on in communities across the country, and they find history and proof of other law enforcement officers who have died in the line of duty and it was never recognized. So once that's confirmed, then those new names are also added to the memorial in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, please. And especially in light of the national news, when we watch and see what's going on in different parts of the country and police officers being injured, we just are more and more mindful of this event. So thanks, Chief, for taking care of that. Number 14, I guess we're up to.
Proclamation recognizing May 2nd through the 10th, 2015 as National Travel and Tourism Week.
While it may be not as obvious for Kansans as it is for some other states, travel and tourism are significant elements of our regional economy. This proclamation recognizes the importance of travel and tourism in Ottawa as well as to all Kansans. And I don't know if Christy Lee's here, President of the Franklin County Convention and Visitors Bureau, will accept the proclamation. And if not, there she is. Sorry, Christy. We will have someone who's reading this one.
I am.
Sharon's got this, okay.
And the proclamation reads, whereas travel matters deeply to the economic prosperity of Kansas, as well as to business wealth and to comfort and pleasure of individual travelers, and whereas tourism is responsible for creating 1.7% of the total Kansas gross state product and is the 7th largest industry in the state based on employment. And whereas travel to and within Kansas provides significant economic benefits for the state, reaching $6 billion in 2013, with total spending in support of tourism nearing $6.5 billion. And whereas travel is among Kansas' largest private sector employers, supporting 61,373 core industry jobs in 2013, and an additional 21,891 indirect jobs supported by core tourism activity. And whereas the total impact of the traveler industry in Kansas is $9.5 billion, with 33.7 million people visiting the state in 2013. And whereas the $556 million in state and local revenues for visitor activity represents $500 per household in Kansas, and whereas leisure and business travel taken in the Kansas spurs countless benefits to travelers' creativity, cultural awareness, education, happiness, productivity, relationships, and wellness. And whereas travel is a catalyst that moves local, state, and national economies forward. Therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim the week of May 2nd through May 10th to be National Travel and Tourism Week in the City of Ottawa, and urge the citizens of Ottawa to join in this special observance with appropriate events and commemorations. Signed this 6th day of May, 2015, by Michael Skidmore, Mayor.
Okay, Christy, want to come forward? Okay, you have the podium, Christy.
I just want to say thank you very much for this honor. We will add it to our desk where we are displaying these this week. All week, as you know, is National Travel and Tourism Week, so we are celebrating out at the Visitor Center with an open house, so if you feel like coming out there, please do. We will hopefully have some lemonade and cookies tomorrow and Friday, so please join us out there. We just got over a busy weekend last weekend. We went up to the Kansas Sampler Festival, which was held in Wamego. They broke all kinds of records again this year. They had over 12,000 people through in 2 days. So passed out over 600 visitors guidebooks the whole weekend in that. So it was a really good event, and then turned around on Monday and was up in Overland Park at another event where the state travel and tourism rolled out their summer campaign as far as hashtag Kick the Bucket Kansas, and you go on and you add your favorite destinations that you want to do for the summer and that. So huge campaign up there at the new Prairie Fire Museum in Overland Park, and if you haven't been at that facility, it is absolutely gorgeous. So just encourage you to get out there and travel, and thank you very much for this proclamation.
Christy, good job. I read recently, too, your visitations are up out here, too, so it's always encouraging to see the numbers going in the right direction for you, so it's great to hear. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Christy. Number 15.
Proclamation recognizing May 2015 as Building Safety Month.
The International Code Foundation Council created Building Safety Month to expand awareness of the importance of a safe and sustainable built environment and critical role in building and fire codes and code officials. And Vic Finch will accept this proclamation once I read this. And this proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the city's continuing efforts address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, and sustainability in the built environment that affect our citizens both in everyday life and the times of natural disaster, give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas confidence is achieved through the devoted work of building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, laborers, and others in connection with the construction industry who work year-round to ensure that safe in the construction of buildings. And whereas international codes, the most widely adopted codes in the nation, include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as snowstorms, tornadoes, and fires. And whereas this year's theme, building safety, maximizing resilience, minimizing risks, and whereas Building Safety Month reminds the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown caretakers of public safety, our local code officials who assure us of a safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas the theme of Building Safety Month 2015 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes. And whereas Ottawans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety from kitchens to bedrooms and structural repairs from basement to rooftop, making spaces livable and comfortable for whole lifetimes. Now therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as Building Safety Month in the City of Ottawa, and urges all citizens to consider projects to improve building safety at home and in the community, and to recognize the local building safety and fire prevention officials and the important role they play in the public safety. Signed by myself as the mayor. So Vic, you want to come forward and lots of proclamations this month, huh? Got it? Okay, you have a few minutes. Help yourself to the podium there.
Yeah, Vic's standing with. I had to persuade him,
Okay.
so he'll stand with me. You may or may not know this, but Vic Finch has long time been a contract employee for the City of Ottawa as a person who does plan review for you. You see that in the budget sometimes, plan review and an expense, and we're very fortunate that Vic, who resides here, is somebody who works for the City of Overland Park and does lots more plan review than we need to do, and does it with lots of a variety of buildings. And his skills and expertise and certifications have done us a world of good over the years. It's helped all of our inspectors learn more about the design side of it and how to do that. He's worked with our designers and our contractors as well, been available to us for questions. And so I wanted to take the opportunity for him to accept the proclamation, but mostly so we could recognize that he has done great work for us, lives here, cares about our buildings, cares about our community, and we don't ever see him. And so I wanted you to be able to recognize him tonight.
Very Vic. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
And his wife Carol gives up a little bit of extra of his time
There we
when she's
go.
here too. So
Sure.
we appreciate that.
Thanks.
I do want to say on behalf of the department, we appreciate the proclamation. Along with the fire department, I'm privileged to work with people who work every day to try and make our community better structurally and for occupancy standards, whether it be a school or a church or a commercial building or an industrial building. And we've worked on every side of a project here from decks on up, and every single one of them has an opportunity to be sure that it is safe and the best investment it can be for the longest time that it can be. And we're here to help the public do that, and we have people that really work hard to do that. So I'm privileged to work with them, and we appreciate the proclamation. Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Thanks.
Just having had the opportunity to travel to places like India where I see there are no codes, or I see the results of an earthquake in Nepal where there are no codes, and see the deadly results of that too. So I totally recognize the safety issue of this thing. You're absolutely right on the structural integrity is important. So thank you very much for accepting that proclamation. Number 16.
Proclamation recognizing May 2015 as Community Action Month.
This proclamation recognizes the 50-year history of promoting self-sufficiency for those with limited income. And Richard Jackson, Chief Executive Officer of East Central Kansas Economic Opportunity Corporation, will accept the proclamation. So we'll read first. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yes, and the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas community action agencies were created when the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 was signed into law. And whereas the East Central Kansas Economic Opportunity Corporation, ECAN, was established in 1966. And whereas ECAN has a 46-year plus history of promoting self-sufficiency for those with limited income. And whereas ECAN has made essential contributions to individuals and families in Ottawa by providing them with innovative and cost-effective programs such as community gardens, low-cost rental housing, rent subsidies via the Section 8 program, weatherization services, early childhood education. Whereas community action agencies are needed as major participants in the reform of the welfare system as we know it. And whereas individuals and families on a limited income continue to need opportunities to improve their living conditions, thus ensuring that all citizens are able to live with dignity. And whereas the poverty rate in Franklin County is 13.1%. And whereas there are 3,355 individuals that meet the federal poverty guideline. And whereas Kansas and the entire United States must continue to wage war on poverty by providing support and opportunity for all citizens in need of assistance. And whereas the City of Ottawa, Kansas and ECAN have worked together to meet the needs of our most vulnerable citizens. Therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 to be Community Action Month in the City of Ottawa, Kansas, in recognizing the hard work and dedication of Kansas community agencies. Signed this the 6th day of May 2015 by our Mayor, Michael Skidmore.
Our good friend Richard Jackson, come forward. Go ahead, help yourself to the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I want to introduce Janie Templeton, sitting here in the back. I couldn't get her to come up. She's a little camera shy. So I don't know, maybe they can zoom in on her. But she's our Franklin County coordinator that handles the customers that come in needing services of whatever. She's the one that they, I guess, first point of contact. Thank you for the proclamation. This is something that we celebrate every year. We started off last Friday with, I guess, a picnic and what have you in the park last Friday. We had some signs out depicting poverty, some poverty statistics and status. And then one thing that we did do at the meeting there, we recognized or we gave some money to the 5 churches that do the first Friday feed every month. And that would be nice if we could get other churches to join in. There's a need more than just once a week. I want to call your attention to something that we're going to be doing on the 19th. We're going to be doing a poverty simulation, and would encourage you to attend if at all possible. Starts at 1:30 at Washburn Towers. And what it is, it takes you a walk. It's a walk through what somebody experiences that's getting public aid, either federal or state aid, and all of the, I guess, the hoops they have to jump through, all of the problems that they encounter. We have an SRS office, or DCF as they're called now, employment. We even have a bank. We have a payday loan. We have a loan shark. We have police department. We have a drug dealer. Some of the things that are experienced in the community, and some of the things that they're encountering and trying to make their checks last through the month. I think if you're getting food stamps, it's less than $6 a day, and so it deals with some of the problems that they run into, and I think it will open up your eyes. We've done this for the University of Kansas with their pre-med students and nurses, and so it gives them some exposure when people come in and having problems. You have a little bit of understanding why that's happening. The last thing I want to do, I want to thank the city, because they've worked with us over the over the years. Actually, we can go back to 1975, 76 in housing. We first started working with the city and the community development block grant program, of course, most recently with the community gardens program. So I want to thank you for that. And then the last thing I want to do, I want to give you a check to go to your city play task force. I guess that's what you call it. And I think you're well aware we're very supportive of the youth and very supportive of what goes on in this community. And so we want to give back, so we want to give you a check for.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Let's do that part too. We'll do that. Get another picture of this.
It's amazing.
Richard, the dates of that simulation again?
The 19th.
May 19th at 1:30?
Good.
Washburn? That might be very interesting. Thank you for that.
Do you need to pre-register for that, Mr. Jackson?
Well, the 19th is the training, the 19th is the poverty stimulation, the 20th is the training. Yes,
So, okay,
I
pre-register.
can register all of you.
Okay. Go ahead, Ed. Thanks, Richard, very good. That's great. We'll go on to number 17.
Recognition of new employees in the police department.
Chief Butler will introduce the new officers, Nicholas Goodwin, Carson Simmons, and Jared Russell. Police Chief.
Yay.
This is always one of the more enjoyable things that I do as the police chief. Come on up, don't be shy. Is getting to introduce the new employees. Interestingly, we have a not-so-new employee and a newer one. I've missed some opportunities to introduce them previously. To my immediate right is Nicholas Goodwin, and I'll introduce him first because he's been here probably a little bit over a year now. And before I tell you a little bit about each one of them, as you know, we're in the final stages of our accreditation process, which we will have our on-site assessment next month. And as part of that, I have to gather lots of statistics about what we do as an agency. And one of the things that I have to do is gather information about how many applications we receive each year for police officer vacancies. And last year in 2014, we received 167 applications, and we were only able to hire 3 people. That's less than 2% of the applications received. And the reason why, and this is what I want you and our community to know, is the standards that we use to hire police officers are very high. We won't just hire anybody. And I often tell people we're desperate to hire good police officers, not desperate to hire anybody to be a police officer, and I think that's important to know. So the 3 that are standing before you passed some pretty rigorous testing to become police officers here. Officer Nicholas Goodwin, to my right, is originally from Medicine Lodge, Kansas. He's married to Jessica and has 2 children, a 7-year-old daughter named Dakota and an 18-month-old son named Colin. Nick has traveled to 23 different countries in his previous career as a United States Marine. He served in the Marine Corps for 8 years. He also attended Northwest Missouri State University in St. Joseph's, Missouri, and operated a CrossFit business in Maryville, Missouri. He was the co-owner, manager, and head trainer. When he's off, he enjoys spending time outside, fishing, hunting, and spending time with his family. Nick graduated from KLETC on July 11th, 2014, is now assigned to our patrol division. To his right is Officer Carson Simmons. Carson is 21 years old, and she's from Tonganoxie, Kansas. Her previous employer was the Armed Forces Bank in Leavenworth, Kansas. In her spare time, she enjoys fishing and, are you ready? Turkey hunting, which I thought was really interesting. I'm going to have to get some tips from her about how to be better at that. But anyway, she was hired on December 2014 and graduated from the academy on April 10th. She's currently working with a field training officer and hopes to be out patrolling on her own very soon. As a former FTO, we're always excited too when they're ready to work on their own.
Sure.
Our last hire is Officer Jared Russell. He's our most recent hire. Jared was born and raised in Tipton, Indiana. He grew up playing basketball and football and wrestled. After graduating from Tri-Central High School in 2005, he attended Purdue University and earned a bachelor's degree in law and society with minors in psychology and organizational leadership. He told me when we were interviewing that the job market wasn't so good when he got out of college, so he joined the United States Army, where he served 3 of his 4 years at Fort Riley as an explosive ordnance disposal technician. Currently, he lives in Lawrence with his girlfriend Colby. He was hired on April 13th, and he begins his academy training next Monday.
Wonderful.
Would any of you like to say anything?
Good to have you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Chief. Very good job. Good selections there, looks like. That's great. We'll go on down to number 18.
2015 Land and Water Conservation Fund Grant Agreement.
Annual agreement to follow provisions of Land and Water Conservation Fund grant was used for initial construction and renovations of the swimming pool in Forest Park. And I guess Mike Hafley, did I pronounce that right? Hafley?
You got it right, Mayor.
My goodness, all right, I got lucky on that one, all right.
Well, Mayor and Commissioners, to summarize this, in 1964, the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, now it's the tourism piece added on to that, established the Land and Water Conservation Fund. It was a grant established to help other organizations maintain outdoor facilities or build outdoor facilities. In 1965, the City of Ottawa received a grant from this fund to help build the pool in its current location. And in 2005, we went back to them and got a grant to help build the zero-depth entry and do some remodeling to the bathhouse at the pool. Part of this agreement, or part of this grant, requires us to sign an annual agreement. And summarizing the agreement, we agreed to maintain the facility to comply with ADA standards. We agree that we will not install any overhead electrical power lines or telephone lines in the project area, and we agree to keep the project area as an outdoor public recreation facility. This is a simple agreement we've been doing since 1965, and I think it's well worth it. If we decide not to maintain this agreement, we forfeit any ability to ever get back into the program.
Okay, so this is an annual agreement, looks like, right? Every year we'll do this, okay. Any questions from the commission? If not, I entertain a motion.
I move that we sign the agreement.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, sir. Any other discussion? Let's have a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I vote yes, too. Motion passes. Thank you, Mike. Number 19.
Recommendation from Neighborhood Revitalization Program Review Committee.
The committee recommends 1 residential and 1 commercial structure to be included in the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. These structures are located at 230 South Main and 110 North Locust. Wendy, you have any comments on that?
Thank you.
Mhm.
It says 1 commercial and 1 residential, but really the commercial project is also residential because that's Courthouse Square. So we want to make sure that people understand that that's the renovation. There was a nice big article in the paper this week about that. So that's for the big project, and that gets a 10-year rebate. And the other project is a typical residential project for us and gets a 5-year rebate. I know that the school board has already passed it. I think the county ended up with a tiny bit of a delay on theirs, but I think they may have done it today.
Okay,
So
very good.
it takes all 3 it takes 2 out of 3, but we typically have all 3 approved, so.
Very good. I think it's a good program. Any other questions of Wendy on this? If not, I entertain a motion on number 19.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the recommendation for the two addresses to be included into the neighborhood revitalization program.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Sean second. Any other discussion on this? Let's have a roll call vote on that then.
How do you vote? Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
I vote yes too, so motion passes. Thanks, Wendy. And I guess we call you back up again here. The resolution, oh, go ahead, Carolyn.
A resolution to establish a public hearing for the consideration of condemnation of the property located at 716 South Ash.
This resolution establishes a public hearing to be held 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 1st, 2015, for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 716 South Ash.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'll probably just stay up here after
Yeah,
this.
that's a good idea.
We have 4 different actions tonight that all have the same process. So I'm going to describe the process, and then we'll talk about each property. The process is that after communication, some cases months or years, and some for long numbers of years, then the staff work with property owners and/or occupants to determine the condition of the structures. And at times, that can only be from the exterior if we're not given permission to go in. And after those evaluations, those attempts to get remedies through just for simple requests by letter, if those attempts fail, then we're left with 2 choices: ignore it, or ask you to consider holding a hearing to decide whether or not we need to place an order on the structure and/or to the owners to force them to consider either a repair alternative or a demolition alternative. Oftentimes people think that we are actually calling a hearing just to tear it down. It's really not that simple. It is much more complex, and it can take, as I said, lots of time to get to that point. The purpose of the resolutions that you have before you tonight are to call the hearing, as you said, for July 1st. Each one of those properties would have its own hearing, and we invite the public, the neighbors, the owners, the occupants, the lien holders, anyone who has an interest to come and testify as to whether that should be repaired, removed, or at least have action taken towards that. Just for the sake of clarity, if the city commission were to actually then at that time order the structure repaired and or removed, and the owners fail to take action, that does put the city in a position to take action in lieu of their own action. And at that time, we'll talk about what those kinds of actions can be. This first property is 716 South Ash, and its primary failure really is its foundation. And so we have a picture here, and from our evidence from the outside of the structure, there was an interior foundation wall that is no longer standing. There's evidence that the rest of the foundation is in jeopardy as well, but oftentimes we are only looking at the foundation from the exterior. In this particular case, because the foundation wall on the exterior has failed to the point at which we can see inside, we can also see an inside wall that has failed. We contacted some concrete experts, and their recommendation was to proceed because it presented a hazard. So we're asking for that one to be put on the hearing, resolution passed so that we can hold a hearing.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions, anybody? Do we need to do each one of these separately?
Yes, sir.
We'll need to do that. Okay, so if there's no other comments, I have a motion for number 20 to be established.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the resolution to call a public hearing on 716 South Ash for consideration of condemnation.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Linda? Okay, second. Any other discussion? Let's have a roll call vote.
How do you vote? Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
I vote yes too. Motion passes. Number 21.
A resolution to establish a public hearing for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 128 North Locust.
This resolution establishes a public hearing to be held 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 1st, 2015, for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 126 North Locust. 128, yeah.
120.
It's kind of dark up here.
It is hard. I know I have the same problem.
That's
Although there
We got
is a
light.
light if I can push it under there far enough.
Yeah, sure, okay. Look at this.
In contrast to the previous property, which we've been writing for the last 2 years, This property at 128 North Locust, we have communicated with owners, and this property has changed hands since the mid-1990s. This structure has a unique history to the community and really to the state, and as such, we have given it, as the governing body has given ample time to have an opportunity to have the property restored. City staff have been before the governing body a couple of times to ask the property be condemned, and that's our job, to bring it to you for that consideration. But there have been opportunities when others thought that they could intervene and actually restore it, and the governing body, in its wisdom, and rightfully so, when there's people that are willing to take responsibility for it, have given them more time to do that. Unfortunately, all of those efforts have, to this date, failed, and the structure has continued to deteriorate fairly substantially. It is now so open to the weather that it is our belief that it presents a hazard not only to the occupants and if there were any, but also to the immediate neighbors, and that the risk of hazard now far outweighs the opportunity to restore the structure. That is our perspective. But we would like to have the hearing so that if people have other perspectives, that they have the opportunity to come before you and share those with you. And in case there is somebody out there who really at this point does have the wherewithal to invest, that they be given that opportunity and sense the urgency that we feel about this structure. So this is its exterior shot. There's some interior shots from 1998, so the ceilings will no longer appear to be like that. So just a few shots. We would obviously show a lot more at the public hearing, but it's our request that you consider passing the resolution to call the public hearing.
Does the demolition include the, which one, someone mentioned the curb appeal with the historical appeal? Does that come down to, do you know, if it?
Oh, the out on the right-of-way?
Well,
Not
the
if
pillars.
The pillars on the right-of-way would not have to come down. That could be
I just didn't know
our
if that was-
question, certainly.
Sure.
That's not a part of the structure. We do, with condemnations, remove the primary structure and any accessory structures.
Okay.
But that's not really a structure. That's a right-of-way
Okay.
situation. In fact, technically, you own it, so you can keep it if you want it.
Interesting. Okay, just a question there. Any other questions?
Well, I'd like to make a comment, Mrs. Lee. I appreciate the fact that you are, you so carefully try and inform the public that this does not mean this is a lost cause. But what it does mean is that we are concerned enough that we want resolution to this. And I hate to see this house, as a social worker myself, I hate to see this house be lost to our community. But I drove by this house again today, and it's in terrible shambles. And it's unfair to the neighbors and unfair to the community to keep this house in this manner up and there. And so I welcome anybody, if we were to go ahead and call that hearing on July 1st, I'd welcome anybody to come and present an idea on how to make this happen and how to make this home and all the homes that we are listing today. We hate to tear down homes. We don't want to do that. We want to build homes and create opportunities for our citizens to live here safely. But this is not a safe structure as it is placed right here. And so I appreciate that you're so careful about making sure that, and through, it sounds like several decades, trying to be really cognizant that this is a historic structure. It means a lot not only to Franklin County, but to its citizens, and that we hate to tear it down, but there's no other, right now it's not safe to be inhabited.
Good, well said, Sarah. Okay. Any other questions? We'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I think, I was going to say real quick,
Go
I think
ahead.
Commissioner Kaler said it very well, so I'm not going to repeat it. I just want to say I echo those sentiments that with historic homes like this, it is, if there is a way to save them, it's great. So I would also love to see if somebody can step forward on this one.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Questions, I mean? If not, we'll entertain a motion on number 21.
I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the consideration of the condemnation of this property.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Sean, okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, we'll take roll call vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Geis?
Aye.
How do you vote, Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler,
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore.
And I vote yes, too. Motion passes. Item number 22.
A resolution to establish a public hearing for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 130 South Maple.
This resolution establishes a public hearing to be held at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 1st, 2015, for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 130 South Maple.
Unfortunately, this structure suffered a fire in July of 2014, and at this time, the owners have indicated to us that they don't have the funds to restore the structure to an occupied status. And that is obviously a tragedy for them as well as the community at this point, but it's still our hope that if there's an opportunity for it to be restored, that someone's conscious of that. Nonetheless, with no real alternative provided by the owners, then we're at the position again of asking you to call for a hearing on this structure. Primarily, it is just a fire-related issue. Here's some interior pictures of the damage, and you can see that it's significant. It's not insignificant. And the longer the structure remains unrepaired, the more deterioration that happens just from sheer weather. As with any a vacant structure where we have deterioration, and this is true for all of them, the opportunity for additional fires is actually very high, and that's another reason for us to intervene.
Okay. Any other questions of Wendy?
On this such structure, Mrs. Lee, I know that you discussed this at study session, but this structure here, does it have utilities right now?
They're not connected, no.
Okay.
All of the structures have utilities available at their site, but none of them, to my knowledge, are connected. I can double check that, but we usually, as a part of our reporting, actually look at that. But when it's a fire, we disconnect. The fire department and the utility department works together to do that right away. This one, in fact, they had gotten to the point of a permit for demolition, and when they apply for a permit, then we actually do a more significant cut, and to my knowledge, that has already occurred on this structure. Normally, we wait until we've finished all of the timelines before we would take that step as a city, but this one, when they applied for the permit, then the steps to disconnect them and cut the sewer and things like that is actually done at that time, so that when we give them the permit, which they were approved to have one, it is actually eligible and ready to be removed. And I should also have added, in the broad sense, any of these structures, any of the property owners can actually start doing any action that they might want to do. They just would need to present a plan, get the appropriate permits, and then have all the required inspections if they're repairing and or removing. They don't have to wait till July 1 to take the next step. We encourage them to take any steps that they can on the structure as soon as they can.
And not that the city is necessarily promoting the absolute need for insurance, but this is certainly a great opportunity to say that insurance is a good thing to have on your homes, and that unfortunately fires do happen. And I know that I've said it and I feel like a broken record. I don't believe that taxpayer dollars should be used for when insurance isn't present, although I understand why it is that we do that.
Right. And they did have insurance, it just wasn't enough to do what it would take to restore. Most of the structures we bring to you with a fire don't have insurance at all. Otherwise, we actually, as a part of statutes, have the ability to hold a portion of insurance in order to ensure that the structure is repaired. And we do that all the time without bringing that to you, because that's the property owner and ours relationship, and they have an incentive to use the money to do what it needs to be done. The finance department releases the remaining of the money back to them, and we get the structure reoccupied. This one just wasn't in that circumstance.
It wasn't enough, it's just a small amount. It was
That's my
held in
understanding.
reserve, so it won't cover the cost, obviously, of the demolition. But most of the times, it's a certain percent of the value of the home that's held in escrow until they decide whether to repair or tear down or
Right,
whatever.
right, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, wasn't sure how that worked. Good, thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Linda.
I would move to pass this resolution to establish a public hearing for this property at 130 South Maple.
Okay,
I'll second that.
second. Okay, any other discussion on this one? If not, we'll take roll call vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I vote yes, too. Motion carries. Thank you all. Next, we'll go on to number 23.
A resolution to establish a public hearing for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 820 North Locust.
And this resolution establishes a public hearing to be held at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 1st, 2015, for the consideration of the condemnation of the property located at 820 North Locust.
This is our last one. 820 North Locust, we have been communicating with the owners of this property since 2013. I'm aging before my eyes, 19, I don't know where that came from. These owners have indicated multiple times that they would like to repair, and of course, as with all of the others, if they're in a position to do that, we would like to encourage them to do that. Notwithstanding that, there hasn't been a plan put together and permits obtained, and the structure has a fair amount of deterioration in it as well. So again, we'd ask for a resolution to be passed.
Okay. Any other questions of Wendy? If not, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we establish a public hearing for the consideration of condemnation for the property located at 820 North Locust.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Sharon. Okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, we'll take roll call.
How do you vote? Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you all.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Number 24, I'm just waiting for Carolyn. You got enough light there? You don't either? I was waiting for a light in front of Carolyn there. Okay.
Number 24, a request to approve the capital improvement plan for 2015 through 2019.
All right, the Planning Commission recommends approval of the capital improvement plan. This will be both Scott and Wendy.
Good evening. I thought Wendy needed a break.
Yeah, good idea.
Capital Improvement Plan is a long-term plan which identifies capital projects to be funded during the planning period. In this case, what you have in front of you is a 5-year plan. The CIP, as it's referred to, is to be undertaken for the fiscal year in which the project is anticipated to be started. And it also identifies the expected costs and the proposed method for financing these expenditures. Goals for a CIP should be considered to guide the development of a CIP, and those assurances are that the CIP is affordable. It emphasizes the requirements for long-term planning and enhances the linkage between the CIP and the operating budget. A fundamental principle of the CIP is to make intelligent decisions through consideration of capital requests on the basis of comprehensive project information. And in most cases, what you're looking at was part of several different master plans that have been developed for the city. And in some cases, the needs were identified by staff members or members of the community. Again, what you have shows a 5-year plan, but what you don't see are identified needs which go beyond 2030. The capital improvement plan is not the same as a capital budget. The capital budget represents the first year of the CIP, whereas the capital plan projects well into the future. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this matter and recommends adoption to the governing body. A motion would be appropriate to approve the CIP, and I would stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions of Scott? Anybody? We've had a chance to study this from the last study session until now, and any questions anybody have? Go ahead.
Actually, Scott, does that mean, okay, when an individual looks at the capital improvement plan, if Joe Citizen is looking at this capital improvement plan and we're saying under our parks project that we're going to make additions to the Walton Park project that we have in 2015, does that mean that we have set that in concrete, this is exactly what we're going to do? Or is this a fluid document that we move around? It doesn't necessarily mean that everything on here is going to be done, but this is a good forecast.
It is a forecast, and it is dynamic. It will change. Now, the closer it is to 2015, the greater the probability that it will be done. For example, under the first grouping there, airport projects, we know that the T-hangars are already underway, so that's going to be finished this year. The small playground that you mentioned, there's a strong possibility that that will be completed, depending on what else is going on this year. And sometimes we will move projects up in the order of things, and sometimes we move them down in the order of things. Part of that depends on the funding available. If we can come up with, in the parks, in the case of the parks, for example, donations or a grant that would help accelerate that, then by all means, we would be all over taking that funding and applying it as quickly as possible. In other cases, especially if we're talking about issuance of debt, we may have to defer that for a year or two, depending on what's going on throughout the city with other needs at the time.
And is it fair to say that the capital improvement plan would be available for anyone to look at on our website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, we appreciate the feedback that we get.
Good. Any other questions of Scott? If not, entertain a motion and we approve this number 24.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the request for the capital improvement plan for 2015 through 2019.
Okay, a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Sarah? Okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I'll vote yes, too. Motion carries. Thank you all. Number 25.
A request to endorse the Kansas Independent College Financial Authority revenue anticipated notes for Ottawa University.
Okay, Scott? Through the Kansas Independent College Authority, Ottawa University annually draws on short-term financing to help the university bridge the summer months. The city's bonding authority is used as a conduit to allow this financing, but there is no obligation placed upon the city. The debt belongs strictly to the university. Anything else to add to that?
That sums it up. I always feel strange about standing up here to speak to this issue because it's not really our debt issuance. And as Clark Robordi from OU explained the other day, this is exactly what you just said. It's short-term financing to help them get through the summer, the gap of the summer months until they can get to fall and they start seeing revenue come in with new students. That's largely what this is about for Ottawa University, and they've done this now for many years.
That's what I was thinking. The amount may change, but the same purpose
Right.
for the...
And again, it's not our debt.
Right.
The debt is through Ottawa University. They just use our ability to issue tax-exempt financing, and they use us as a conduit to get to that. And Ottawa University will not be the only one issuing debt at this time. A lot of other universities are doing the same thing.
Very good.
They
All
just lump it together so they can get a better rate.
right. Sure, makes sense. Okay, any other questions of Scott?
Does it have any effect on the city at all?
No, it doesn't affect our bond rating. No.
Okay, any other questions of Scott? If not, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the request as listed on number 25 in our agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Sharon, okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, we'll take roll call vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Geis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Skidmore?
And I vote yes, too. Motion carries. Thanks, Scott. Next, we will go to report by city manager.
Commissioners, I will be out of town Thursday and Friday in Wichita, attending the Kansas Municipal Utilities Conference, of which I sit on the board. And on the evening of May 15th, there will be a special showing of the movie Planes out at the airport. And I'm sure Commissioner Dickinson will tell you more about that, but this is exciting. It's a first.
It's a good one.
And by the way, that one of the songs in there was written by a student my wife had in her former life as a teacher.
Wow, pretty cool. Anything else? You got it?
No, that's
That's
it.
it? Okay, we'll go with reports by city commissioners. Why don't we start with Linda? Do you have anything to report?
Well, I was just going to tell Mrs. Lee that I accept your challenge to ride to work. I have just slightly under a mile each way, and I have ridden to work a lot of times, so I will try to do it each day of the week, and definitely on that Friday. And I will try to challenge other people at work as well to do that. And I believe that's all I have this evening.
Okay. Sean?
Two things. Well, there's a nice teaser for the first one. Next Friday, May 15th, the city is one sponsor for the airport movie night. You may see these flyers up around town on the city website and such. But activities will start at 6:30. There'll be a fire truck and police cars and free popcorn and lots of great things to celebrate the beginning of summer. The movie will start about sundown. We're estimating 8 o'clock, but we'll see what happens that day. Definitely bring your family out, and like we said, it's free, and it should be a great night. The second thing is, on Monday night, I had the opportunity to go to a Baldwin City City Commission meeting, and had the opportunity to talk with some of their commissioners, both new commissioners and commissioners that have been there. And we had a great conversation about how Ottawa and Baldwin are in very similar spots, and maybe having some conversations about some things that we could either share ideas on or actually partner on some projects. So I think that's a great opportunity that right in our backyard of a community that we can continue to work besides. So that's it.
Right. Okay, appreciate it, Sean. Sharon, you have anything?
Well, I too will accept Wendy's challenge to ride my bike to work next week, and I also am a fair weather rider. I will, I would also like to remind everybody that tomorrow is the National Day of Prayer, and I believe that people will be meeting at the courthouse at noon tomorrow to pray for our community.
Very good. All right, thanks, Sharon. Sarah?
Yes, and to piggyback on what Commissioner Geis said about the National Day of Prayer, there is an awful cute children's choir that's going to sing. I may have heard their songs before. I'm telling you, it's cute. So come and listen. They're very excited, especially the one that lives at my house. Under declaration tonight, I almost felt like I should declare a conflict of interest because I did hopscotch today. During the meeting tonight, I believe that my child rode her bike. So, I mean, I had many conflict of interest, I guess, if you want to call it, or things that are of interest under my house. Or in my house. I am always glad to see that there are so many wonderful things happening in the city of Ottawa, and just happy to be a part of this community. So thank you for that opportunity.
Very good. Thanks, Sarah. Well, I'm not sure if I'll accept that challenge. I'd have to steal a bike if I wanted to ride a bike, or borrow one, I guess I'd be better to say, and it's going to allow an hour to drive to Pomona, so I'm going to pass on that idea. I think that highway's not safe enough for bicycles still yet. Yeah. I think we'll go just over the calendar events there. Of course, we have our study sessions coming up here in the following Mondays, and our regular meeting would be on the 20th. The retreat with John Devine has the 24th. I thought it was the 23rd. 23rd. Okay, so it'll be 23rd of June on that. And of course, we'll be closed on Memorial Day weekend. And so let me think anything else here. Make sure I understood right. And also, was it May 12th, Chief Butler? Was that the May 12th was the at First Baptist Church?
May 13th.
May 13th. Wednesday, May 13th at 6 p.m. at First Baptist Church. Very good. Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
And there will also be a special
yes.
call meeting next Friday at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. right in here. They'll be here. Okay. I think I saw it up here passing around. Yeah, here we go. Yes. Public hearing, grant request of State of Kansas for downtown rehab grant. Very good. Well, all right. Anything else to come before us today? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
On second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
I'm the only one that eyed.